into my basketball. Every time I rock, man, this is how we rap and raw. Peace to my man, now we got the camera out. Every time I spit it, cross over the...
All right, hello everyone, this is Josh, also known as Yashu, and you're tuning into episode 64 of the TLOY Talks podcast. You know, you can get it like on all platforms like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, much more and all that. I always say it like every other time and all that. But yo, I'm just gonna jump right to it and all that, you know, like, so he just dropped like his project like a while back in 2023, like earlier in 2023 called the pilot episode. I'm actually wearing merch right now in support of the project. You know, he recently performed like his annual showcase back in June at the Garrison, which sold out. You know, he's opened up for the likes of like the Unlisted Negroes. He performed at the Snow to Melt event. He also performed at the Drake Hotel and all that. Probably like one of the rising like artists like in the Toronto music scene right now, with a style similar to Kanye and Cudi and much more and all that. You know, we have Scarborough's own like Lowercase in the building. How are you doing today, man?
I like that, man. That was good. That was a good intro.
Yeah, man. I mean, sometimes too, just like forming intros, like in a sense too, it's like it takes time, like, and a process as well too, to kind of like even like getting like the right information in. But
Yeah.
after like knowing you for a bit too, from seeing you at the like opening up for like Unlisted Negroes just like back in like June of like last year and all that,
Yeah.
to seeing you perform at like other events, it's like amazing too and all that. And then the craziest thing too is that I actually had a homegirl like when I actually posted like one of the stories from that event a while back from Snow to Melt, you know, she told me that you saw like Lowercase, you know, that's like actually like one of my favorite artists too, actually. Karen, shout out to Karen, by the way, a very amazing person.
Shout out to Karen. Real one.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
love.
And
That's
she also,
love.
yeah, man. And she also told me that she also went to the same event last year too at like the Unlisted Negroes showcase too, and
Okay.
you know, just kind of got me into that vibe of like, you know, like a lot of people are like even like tapping in with this community and supporting and all that. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like rambling on for a little bit too, but you know, it's a pleasure to have you today and all that, to even talk about like a lot of your stuff. And like I'm just gonna get right to it, like in a sense too, man. So
Yeah, no problem.
on your Spotify bio, you grew up in Malvern, and you know, I wanted to ask like what the environment was like for you growing up, and would you say you had a blessed childhood at the time, or was it different?
A great childhood. You know, I feel like it's all perspective. You know what I'm saying? I feel like for the most part, I can always just say I'm grateful to be alive. You know what I mean? There's like, not even to be morbid or go straight to morbidity. It's just like there's a lot of people that I grew up with. There's a lot of people I you know, I really cared about and had like real cool relationships with that are not here. You know what I mean? So in that sense, like I'm grateful, and I don't think my childhood wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst, you know what I mean? I feel like there's many people that have it worse, you know what I mean? And again, I just try my best to stay grateful, but you know what I mean? It wasn't, you know, it wasn't peaches and cream. Shout out to the oatmeal Quaker, but no, it wasn't peaches and cream. And but it was a lot of great times. You know what I mean? I feel like it came with a lot of hardships, but also came with a lot of great times, a lot of funny moments. I feel like our community in general turns a lot of traumatic things into comedy. And I feel like me and my friends tend to do that 24/7. So, you know, I think as I grow older and I look back on certain things, I'm like, that was really messed up. And can I swear?
Yeah, no, that's no problem.
Not quite, just, you know, PG, you know, it's protecting the kids. But, you know, I was just like, yeah, like some of this stuff is really fucked up growing up now and processing it. But, you know, yeah, no, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Could have been worse. And I'm here, you know what I mean? And I've been able to make something of myself at this point, and I can't say I wouldn't be here without those experiences, you know?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, man. And I mean, Malvern, like at the time too, like there's like, from what I could say, there's like a unique balance between like, you know, the conscious and more creative artists versus like the artists that people would expect and all that, street artists too.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when I first interacted with like a lot of people from Malvern too, like I actually used to manage like an artist like that was like from Malvern, and like I've known people who do like different types of music, like R&B and all that, or like conscious rap and all that. I noticed like the community like in Scarborough, it's like amazing to see with like a lot of like grassroots program like Rise and all that, with my friend Levi, who had a program for like the LGBTQ, like for artists to perform, do poetry and all that.
Yeah, shout out Levi.
Yeah.
Shout out Levi. Dope.
Yeah.
Dope
But
person.
like even in that area at the time, was it big for music growing up?
I feel like when I was younger, you know, music in Scarborough is huge. Shout out to Face Films. He was a videographer that I feel like, honestly, he was kind of ahead of his time, where he kind of was just like a videographer that kind of just went around Scarborough, went around Toronto, and just worked with legit like many artists, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure there was many artists that had differences that he still worked with, but it was strictly business and it was strictly art with him. You know what I mean? And he was able to create a whole playlist of just like videos and visuals from like all these artists from different parts of Scarborough and different parts of Toronto to some degree. You know what I mean? So I feel like when it comes to artists expressing themselves musically, I feel like the music scene was always there. The music scene was always there, you know what I mean? But I feel like the forefront, I mean, to some degree, even the forefront now, like the music scene is kind of emphasizing more of like what, like, you know, the streets and, you know, that grind and that hustle. So, and I respect it, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, I come from the same place a lot of these people come from. And to me, you know what I mean? There's many artists that I know that make music, and I've you know, I know them, and I resonate with a lot of things they say because either I've seen it or, you know, yeah. So shout out to all artists, you know, doing their thing, grinding, creating. But I feel like the scene growing up was heavy on the street rap though.
Oh,
I feel like now, I feel like it has been, I guess, spreading out. You know what I mean? Especially with R&B and stuff of that nature. But I feel like there was always a hip hop scene, but I feel like a specific style was dominant though.
Yeah, no, 100% too. And I actually had like people that I knew growing up, like in certain areas that became rappers that were from that area too. Like there's like this young kid named Malik who actually went by like Lil Mel and all that. And, you know, I didn't find out that he was like a rapper until like he passed away. Rest in peace, Lil Mel, by the way. But yeah, it's like kind of interesting how like
Rest in peace still.
yeah, man. It's kind of like interesting to see like how like a lot of people like even like take in within like Malvern culture and like even be connected within the communities, because there's like, you know, major music studios just like up north on the road, like I think on McNichol or something like that, and then Rise is like in like one of the community centers in like Scarborough and all that too, and then there's like also like a lot of like, you know, community like organizers and people like helping out like within the scene too to kind of shed like light on Scarborough, like Randall J and all that. And
Yeah, shout out Randall.
yeah,
Scarborough's Jesus.
yeah, and like I think like OVO Nico as well too, with the whole like Scarborough shooting stars type thing. Like it kind of brought like an outlook within like the idea of Scarborough and to make it like an amazing environment in that sense too. So yeah, man.
No, for sure. I feel like those guys are definitely huge pioneers in terms of emphasizing and putting Scarborough's like a lot of the good light of Scarborough in the forefront. And you know, it's needed. You know what I mean? I feel like in general, like, you know, Scarborough is, in a sense, if it's weird, like I feel like again in general, growing up, Scarborough is kind of like its own city within Toronto. You know what I mean? It was its own area. And I feel like Scarborough never necessarily got the appreciation that I probably should have deserved in the past, especially culturally. I feel like, you know, the Ends has a strong influence on everything we see in the city. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm not gonna talk too much shit on other parts of Toronto, but Scarborough's the one.
Yeah, no, 100% too.
Yeah.
Yo, to kind of get back onto track here and all that, what were you like growing up, like in that sense too, from the start until like now and all that?
What was I like? I feel like for the most part in general, like growing up, I was usually to myself. You know what I mean? I feel like I had my circle of friends that I like, you know, I circulated with and I was cooling with and grew up with. And then, you know, high school came and my parents didn't want me to go to high school in the area because they just felt like it wouldn't be the best idea for my progression as a young man. So, you know, they sent me some suggestions and ended up going to an art school. And honestly, you know, kind of from there, kind of just gained a whole different experience of like a different light of like culture in terms of just like other people, like another lifestyle. You know what I mean? It was a lot more suburbia and a lot more relaxed and um, yeah, I'm trying to think of the right word. I'm trying to be politically correct here. But nah, it was different. It was different, and it helped me get a better idea of like what was not normal growing up.
Ah, for sure.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? There was many things that I seen during high school. I was like, okay, so people don't just do this, or people don't just go through that, or this isn't a norm. You know what I mean? And yeah, I feel like just that shaped my consciousness of like what I've been through, what I want for myself, and where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then kind of just trying my best to work towards, you know, the goal of like, you know, being the best version of myself. You know what I mean? And understanding the pit holes and potholes I've been through and see.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know, when I was like doing my research for a bit too, you know, you actually have American roots tracing back to Memphis and like Baton Rouge too. And like I think you spoke briefly about it like in a previous like podcast and all that. So
Yeah,
but I
check it
wanna
out.
yeah, I wanna get to know more about that and tell me more about that side, like even like growing up and all that and noticing the music scene like there, like in Baton Rouge and Memphis, like from those times that you visited.
So I never been to Baton Rouge. Like my one of my aunts is from Baton Rouge, and I was saying there was a story of like just her just having a conversation with her one of the last time I was in Memphis, and she was very emotional, just crying and just like just very happy that I was healthy and happy that I was alive, and you know and this and just being just thankful because like I'm my father's only son, and he had passed away. So for her to know that, you know, I'm here and I'm doing well is just like, I guess for her it was kind of just like just a light, you know what I mean? And she was really happy. So that's really what I was talking about in Baton Rouge. But in Memphis, shit, man, M10, man. What can I say? Honestly, growing up, I started going there a lot when I was probably like 6, 7, and I probably went there every summer or every other summer, and it I think as a kid it just brought me an understanding of this music in the South. You know what I mean? Like I didn't I didn't acknowledge Lil Wayne too much when I was a kid until I was old enough to understand rap, and I was just hearing a lot of Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? A lot of obviously naturally just like a lot of 3 6 Mafia, you know, and just a lot of just man, 8 Ball MJG, just a lot of Memphis artists, you know what I mean, that I would never listen to or hear in Toronto. You know what I mean? It was kind of like it's a different swang, just a different swag, a just different energy. And just even when I was out there, just like everyone, just how it is culturally is just different. You know what I mean? I feel like, especially in the South, like the Southern hospitality is real.
Yeah.
These guys are really family oriented, and that's just I was probably one of the bigger culture shocks for me is growing up, like how they maneuver with family and how some people maneuver with family out here. It's like huge, like really big on individuality and individualism. And
Yeah.
I feel like when I was out there, it was kind of like we're all one family. And obviously, America still deals with individualism heavy too, and all of America, North America.
Yeah.
But I just feel like with that family and just out there it was different. In terms of artistry, yeah, man, just it just getting a whole different scope of artists that, like I said, like many people down here would even probably never heard of or probably never listened to. You know what I mean? And just even the style, swag, everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, shaped a lot of things for me.
Sure. And what I could actually say about like Memphis and all that too, like I've been researching like a lot about like Memphis since like, you know, 2017, 2018 too. And what I've noticed is that like their culture within this idea of a dark cloud and all that with sinister energy, negative energy, because there is like darkness like in Memphis in that sense too. It can even be like traced back to like the blues music where their core music like was like found there. It was like one of the city's like core like music scenes and all that where, you know, with BB King, Isaac Hayes and all that, with like some of like the young pioneers like Al Green, like they even discuss like a lot of like issues like whether it's like love or sadness or depression at that time too. And it can even be like traced back to like slavery with the food and all that, with the barbecue and everything else too. And
Yeah, it's
I've
cooking.
noticed how that the idea of like individualism and individuality, like in Memphis, it is like even traced back to what it could be now, and you know, it could be the same for like the idea of like who's the king of Memphis, you know, Yo Gotti, Young Dolph, or who's like the next rising Memphis artist, like Moneybagg Yo, or like Glorilla and all that. So I could say like Memphis is like interesting like in all aspects in that sense.
Yeah, you know, definitely one of the top cities. One of the top cities for sure.
No, man.
Yeah, man.
And you know, I think I kind of messed up the question like when I first wrote it, but it was actually meant to be like, what was like your first introduction to like music and producing, and what were like some artists or sounds that you listened to throughout your whole life?
My introduction to music. My introduction to music just started with just like Jay-Z, the Black Album. Like it isn't my introduction to music. It really isn't. But I feel like my introduction into studying music and to mean like, what am I listening to? You know what I mean? Like I remember one of the earliest memories of music is just a lot of Pac, a lot of Biggie, my uncle playing. I remember California Love music video, and I'm like, bro, what the hell am I watching? This shit is crazy. You know what I mean? Got niggas on ATVs and big ass trucks and, you know, just fire and stuff like that. I remember seeing that and being like, this is nuts. And but as time continues, I feel like just hearing random shit here and there, and then growing up, and my mom won an iPod Nano, and she had loves Jay-Z, so she had put the Black Album on it and listened to that, and I was like, here December 4th. I'm not even supposed to say rest in peace. That's crazy. But happy birthday to the GOAT. Actually pause that. Don't even put that in there. That's crazy. I'm joking. Nah, but you know, that album really like opened me up to understanding, or just wanting to understand what the hell I'm listening to. You know what I mean? Just listening to everything he's saying word for word and being like, yo, like this is the clarity in what he's saying and what he's trying to portray is really easy to understand. And also just the beats are just immaculate, you know what I mean? So from there, just being like, just studying music, going from there and understanding obviously Kanye West and being like production, like really just diving in his production. And then obviously, you know, his artistry is just on a whole other stratosphere, but him, and then I feel like then it tails down to connecting to Kid Cudi and stuff like that. Obviously, there's other artists I used to listen to, like this artist from Detroit, Black Milk. I used to listen to religiously, Lupe Fiasco, The Cool, Food and Liquor, Common. I used to be huge on Common at one point. I had a moment, like I feel like after the Jay-Z Black Album, I feel like I kind of got into a phase of just a bunch of different artists, you know what I mean? And just like listening to all their catalogs and like downloading their whole catalog on Pirate Bay. Shout out Pirate Bay. Just downloading all their catalogs and just listening to a bunch of different albums from them. And then it really all started in Memphis, ironically enough. I was in Memphis, and I was with my cousin, and we were chilling. I was like, yo, I want to make music, da da da. It was Christmas time, so I got some bread from my uncle, and he was like, bro, fam, let's go get the studio, let's go get the mic, let's go get the. So we pulled up, you know what I'm saying, bought all the shit. And then, fuck, man, like I remember like it was yesterday, got rolled up, you know what I mean, 2 fat blunts. Oh my God, I don't even smoke no more, but this guy rolled 2 fat blunts, bro. And just smoked those. And we were listening to Kid Cudi, Marijuana, and we are like, all right, let's go back inside the house, set up the booth in the closet. And then I probably just rapped on some random, like, I want to say it was like a Jay-Z beat or a Kid Cudi beat, but rapped on that. And then he was like, yeah, cuz, you nice, man. You nice. And I'm like, he's gassing me up. So I'm like, all right, shit, I'm going to go home and I'm going to lock in. And then really that's kind of, that from that moment, like kind of from there, I was kind of just like, all right, like came back home and I had all this stuff. And my mom's like, where the hell do you get all this music shit? I was like, oh, it was Memphis. Like, I'm going to try this shit. And, you know what I mean? Here we are, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you've seen the movie like Hustle and Flow, like by the way, by any chance.
You know what's funny? I have that on my list of movies I have to watch. I feel like I watched it but didn't pay attention to it.
I feel like it does have like an accurate representation of, you know, every musician's dream to kind of make it in the music scene for like one song or like one album. Like I've seen the movie before and it is like very interesting too. I feel like it actually, like I don't want to give like any spoilers, but like from what you've said, from how you started like making music, like it gives like a unique like similarity to like how Hustle and Flow is. I definitely want to recommend that. It does have like a lot of like interesting connotation to Memphis culture and like just like down south culture, like in period and all that. Yeah, I definitely recommend that too. You know, if you want to like kind of like get that gist of it and all that. So
all right, say less. I'll definitely check that out.
for sure, man.
Check that. I might watch that tonight. Fuck it.
For sure, man. So like you've talked about like getting into rapping and making music through like Memphis, like making, you know, just like smoking weed and like doing like other stuff too and all that. But how did you get into like producing that since?
Honestly, when I was in high school, I kind of just like after buying all the product and the material to record. When I was in Memphis, I came back home. I tried to rap on a few beats and stuff like that, and I just was just like, I'm listening to like Jay-Z and then listening to my raps and listening to like Lupe and listening to my raps. I'm like, bro, this isn't good enough. Like I can't. Like I'm trying to compare myself to them. You know what I mean? At that point, I'm a young like 15, 16-year-old kid, 14, somewhere around that, and you know, I was like, I need to hone in on my craft. I need to figure out how to be better. So started writing, just stopped trying to make music and just started writing. And then I wrote to like 5 different beats or something like that. And one was called like No ID. One was called Killers and Thieves. One was called Throw It Back. Oh man, legendary songs. And they were all to all these different people's beats. I rapped to all of them. I put them out on SoundCloud, sent it to a lot of friends. That's when BBM was booming. And honestly, I got like some pretty decent feedback. A lot of people were fucking with a lot of people. You know, again, it was in a time where street rap was more prominent. So it's kind of like, yeah, this is cool, but like niggas ain't gonna really listen to this. And I was like, ah, that's cool. But at the end of the day, it's true to me. Like I'm not trying to make music based on where I'm from or based on the people I know or based on, you know, anything I've done. You know what I mean? So yeah. And so at that point, I realized and understood that I need to try to make something more original. I feel that was a conversation I had with a few friends of just like the originality, and because a lot of the beats that I rapped on, I was rapping like the artist that originally rapped on the beat. So I was just like, I need to figure out how to be myself on these instrumentals. And with that, just listen to a lot of Kanye West, listening to a lot of Black Milk. Black Milk's really the person that helped me get into really trying to produce. There's an artist from Detroit. He's a producer and rapper. And, you know, I was just like, bro, I need to figure this out. Like, I need to be able to make my own beats, make my own sounds, because I didn't want to pay nobody. I didn't want to deal with splits with, you know, all these things. It's like, I was like, I don't really want to go through a middleman. I want to be the source. Like, I want to make sure that everything is created by me, like FUBU, man, but for us, by us. Like, I want it all from me. And, you know, the people that want to work with me or whatever, even when I do business with a record, I want it to go directly to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just felt like I'll have more power if I produce some of these records. You know what I mean? And so just learning through one of my like best friends, older brother, on FL, and he's just teaching me the basics of like what he does, how he does it, and then just kind of just learning on the fly, just like not really even watching YouTube videos because I don't know if I have the attention span for it, but I don't know. I don't really watch the YouTube videos, but I just keep trying shit.
Just like experimenting.
Exactly. Trial and error, sure. constant trial and error. And then after I understood how I want to make beats for myself, like I figured out my rhythm and my, you know, equation for it, kind of just went from there.
Oh, for sure. And was it like at a time when like Ableton, DAW, like Fruity Loops, like was like very like popular like at that time too, or were you guys like still using like the MPCs or the 808s, like that type of stuff?
It's crazy. I wanted an MPC so bad, like so bad. You don't even like, again, watching the Ye documentaries, the Ye videos of him producing. I'm like, bro, I need an MPC, but the prices were insanity. You know what I mean? And people are like, you can get a Roland, and I'm like, bro, the Roland's not an MPC though. Like, you guys see this MPC box? It's insane. Yeah. I don't really like how the Roland looks personally, and so I just never bought one. You know what I mean? And so I ended up settling and getting an MPK, which is like, it's similar. It's like a piano with like the MPC pads at the top corner, but the pads aren't as just as free and loose as I feel like the NBC pads are, and I kind of just said fuck it and just stick to everything just on the computer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But that's definitely one of my goals. Like I feel like just copping an MPC and really trying to start and produce through that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I feel like once you do buy it, like it is like kind of like, you know, the high tier form of like, you know, high value like production and all that too. And you know, hopefully it does work out like as a manifestation and all that, and to see you even like experimenting with it, because a lot of people are doing it, you know. So
yeah, no, definitely. I definitely want to get an MPC. 100%. Because like I feel like the certain things and certain cuts, certain chops that you can do with MPC, like I feel like when you're trying to do it, you know, on the computer and stuff like that, like the chops and how you can loop it and how you can play with it, it's just not the same.
Yeah, no, for
you
sure.
know, and you know, it stresses me out sometimes.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. You started to make music and get into your career like in Toronto in 2018. Is that correct? Or was
no, I feel like I mean, not really. No, I feel like I put out my first album ever called Auditions, which is not on SoundCloud no more, but it's on YouTube. But I feel like it was 2000 and I wish I can call a friend and ask them. It was like either 2015 or 16. I was probably around 17, 18 at the point. And what's it called? I made this album and I was just like, bro, like I'm so confident in this album and this and the third. I'm gonna go to New York and I'm gonna change my life. So went out there and, you know, ran around just trying to shop my music to people and just trying to build a level of connection with somebody out there. You know, I met a lot of people, a lot of dope people out there. I made a lot of cool, got a lot of cool experiences. Met Andre 3K, man. You know what I mean? That was dope. He's out here chilling, eating some Jamaican food. I pulled up on him. I was like, yo, I make music. You need to check it out. And I gave him the sticker. He was like, I waited though. I waited till he finished eating. And I was like, cause I creeped up. I seen him. I walked past this Jamaican restaurant and I seen him when I was walking and I was like, oh shit, that was under 3,000. I'm going back. This is my first day because I went to New York with two of my other friends and then they left. And then the next day, I see Andre 3000. So then I was like, fuck, I gotta do something. I gotta communicate with him in some way. This is Andre 3000. You know what I mean? Ironically enough with the timing and everything. But yeah, ended up giving him a sticker to my work and that led to my album and stuff like that. He definitely didn't check it out. But you know, it was a dope experience. And but yeah, no, it started like 2016, 17 with me going to New York. And then I came back. I still lived in New York for a year, came back, and then I made my album Lowercase. And I feel like that's the album that I feel like a lot of people, it starts with that for a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
100% too, man.
Yeah.
Did you actually manage to meet like any like labels or label heads like at that time too, or like A&Rs, you know, just like giving them the same sticker? And did they give like any like responses on that too, or?
So I would give some people stickers and I would give some people USBs. So like for me, like if I knew you were A&R or whatever the case may be, I'd have a USB on deck. Like I followed, honestly, keep it trilling with you. I was like, yo, I want to be with Roc Nation. I want to work with Roc Nation. You know what I mean? So my goal was I follow every A&R you can think of that was signed to the label, any person that knew the person that was a mutual to that person. And I just watched everyone's IG. Legit, I watched everyone's story. So if they're like, I'm in someone, like, if they just posted and I was like, I know where that restaurant is. I'm going right now. So now I'll go. And honestly, I met a lot of people that way. Honestly, I met Biggs. Now, I should rephrase that. I met him, but I didn't meet him in a real conversation. You know what I mean? I had a real conversation with Emery. I had a real conversation with Lenny S. You know, that was actually the coolest person I met out of the Roc Nation guys. Like we had a real conversation. I really got to talk to him about my music. I really got to ask him like, how can I get my music to you? Because we were at a function. And so obviously like, sorry, it's just not the 1990s. I'm not rapping to a nigga in front of a clothing store like, yo, yeah, it's not happening to me. It's not happening. You know what I mean? So, but, you know, he was like, here's my number, and this, that, and the third. you should send your music to our A&R that we work with. His name is Law, da-da-da-da-da. So honestly, just kind of just followed up with everything he told me and was just really messaging Law a lot.
Yeah.
And Law would get back with me, get back to me and talk with me and shit like that. And I think Law was managing J Electronica at the time.
Not true.
And so, you know, he was also just really just suggesting me music to listen to, being like, yo, listen to this, listen. Because I would ask him, like, what are you listening to? What do you like? You know, and just trying to just understand or just hear his opinion, you know? So honestly, I met a lot of Roc Nation people.
Oh, true.
And then my uncle had known and worked, rest in peace to him. He had known and worked with Cash Money on the financial side, which is hilarious because of the allegations. But yeah, he worked with them and he was able to help me meet a lawyer that worked with a lot of other like labels and stuff like that. And that was a really interesting experience. I'm not really going to talk about it because I don't really want to make it seem, I don't want to say something that's false. But it was an interesting experience. Like I got to really get to talk and meet with a few people, which was really cool. But again, nothing stuck. Yeah, I think at that time they were really big on numbers, and it was like, so what's your streams? What's your this? What's your that? Like, especially like having a conversation with Sony at the time, and just like, yo, the president's daughter or son or something like that. I think it was a daughter. Really liked a song of mine that my uncle had sent, and you know, they hit me up, but it was like, again, it was like, what's your numbers like? And I'm like, bro, I don't got no Spotify. I'm on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're kind of just like, yeah, holla at us later.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck, you know, but it was cool. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, it was a learning curve. Like, I think understanding and getting into the idea of like what the business would look like was the most valuable experience that I got out there for sure.
Oh, true. And to just kind of like dead the topic for a bit too, for Andre Freestacks, was he still playing his flute at the time, or was this like when he was just in a different phase?
He didn't have the flute on him. He didn't have the flute. At the time when I pulled up on him, he was with, I guess he was with one of his managers or something like that, this lady. And they were talking about, I guess he was selling, or he was working with a shoe brand. And he was they were talking about designs for a shoe. So, you know, after they're leaving, I told him about my music and he showed me some ideas. He's like, what do you think of this? I was like, it's a bit too formal for me, boss. But, you know, I mean, if I was an old head, 30, 40 years old, you know, 45, probably be dope.
True.
You know, but he's like, all right, cool. He's like, I like your sticker. I'm going to check out your shit. I was like, say less.
Sure, man. And, you know, in terms of like the inspiration nowadays too, like what inspired you to like rap, produce, and, you know, being an artist on your own and like even like taking that craft seriously and like just like even getting into that step within making music?
What made me take it serious? Well, I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, the art is true. The art feels true to me. You know what I mean? It feels natural to me. I feel like it's not something that I need to think too much about. You know what I mean? To be able to express myself on records is not something I need to think too much about. And that's really it. I feel like inspiring. I feel like everyone a lot of music and a lot of artists that I don't like inspire me. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be like an asshole or anything like that, but I feel like there's a lot of artists that I listen to or pay attention to, whether it's here, whether it's around the world, that I just feel like I don't enjoy. You know what I mean? So, you know, I feel like it you know, it's one of those things where if people enjoy this and I don't enjoy it, granted, everyone has music subjective. I feel like that's an argument at this point, but music's subjective. And I feel like, I'm looking at certain people that I might not necessarily understand, because I won't even say that these people are bad or these artists are bad. It's probably these artists I don't understand. You know what I mean? And for me, I feel like everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own, you know, thing that they want to tell. And just seeing other people do it in ways that I don't understand, it makes me feel like just because somebody may not understand my story, may not understand my music, or may not like it, means that I have to stop. It means that no one's going to like what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I feel like just trying to stay resilient with that, creating, and just listening to obviously great music also inspires me. Like there's artists in the city that inspire me, from Jivy, that's a really dope artist right now from Malvern, Scarborough, Risky, Jimmy, man. There's a few, like Tamir. There's a lot of few artists that I do pay attention to. That I'm like, yo, these guys are really dope, and you know, it makes me want to do better.
Yeah, man. And you know, with a lot of people that you've mentioned, like there's a good amount that were actually in Wrong Crowd at the time too, and all that. And you know, doing my research at the time too, like when I first heard about like Wrong Crowd, I was actually listening to Self actually, because this one producer, like I was like tapping in with, like who actually produced stuff for Toby, actually actually produced some of like Self songs. And then that's when, you know, the whole like Wrong Crowd thing like came about, like when I did like the research. And then I just found out that you were on there too and all that. So how did that actually come about? And like how was that process like, you know, starting this collective of people with like these like-minded like talents, abilities, and like mindsets, and having a roster with those like artists as well too?
I feel like building a team in general is one of the most challenging things ever. I feel like you're dealing with the mentalities of others, and to some degree, you're trying to sell your dream or your goal or your objective to other people and make sure that they believe in as much as you do, or believe it half as much as you do. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, it started off with this, like a few of our friends just making music in high school and just freestyling and, you know, just having fun or whatever. And it was kind of like, yo, like, you know, man, I'm pretty nice. Like, let's really try to figure this out. You know what I mean? Let's really try to see what, see what we can really do. You know what I mean? And so just going from there and just us trying to make records, and us trying to just figure out what our artistry is for each of us individually. You know what I mean? Because one thing for certain was, like, I didn't want to make it seem like we were just, like, I want to make sure everyone was their own individual. You know what I mean? And so just trying to emphasize that and trying to really create, you know, energy and a group that has so many different elements to it that then came together to be just like something really special. And I feel like we were doing that, and I feel like after some point, I feel like in general, all of us grow up. You know what I mean? Like, all of us grow up. Some people don't want to make music. You know what I mean? Sometimes people realize at some point, like, that was never my dream. You know what I mean? I liked doing it, but it wasn't my dream, you know? And I think it came to that realization of, like, at some point where, you know, certain people are like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore because this isn't for me. Like, I think this is more of a you thing, and I think you should focus on this.
Yeah.
And then, so a lot of people, you know, disconnected musically, but all of us are still together. All of us are still connected.
Yeah.
And with Self, he was just one of my best friends' cousin. And we used to talk on the phone bare when we were kids, man. Just talk video games, shorties, whatever the case may be. And my boy hit me up. He's like, yo, like, you know, my cousin's rapping now. I was like, oh, say word. All right, let me check it out. And then checked it out. I was like, this guy's nice. I'm moving like Suge Knight. I'm like, we got to get this guy signed, get him to the Wrong Crowd, man. We got to get him in the group. And so we trying to figure it out because he lives in the West, deep West, Egg West.
Oh, true.
And so, you know, we're just trying to figure out, yo, you got to come to Scarborough. You got to come. But again, like, for him, when we're like 17, 18, it's like, bro, what the hell am I going to Scarborough for? And I'm all the way down here, you know? And so we figured out a way, and we finally got to link up. We finally got to really talk creatively, and also just share music ideas and really just create. And it was like everything kind of just worked and gelled well. And it was kind of just like, yo, you're with us, bro. You know what I mean? You know, we did a blood bond, cut his hand open a bit. He bled in my... Nah, I'm just being stupid. Nah, but yeah, man, honestly, it was just like, yo, we should really work together.
Yeah.
And we kind of went from there. And then with B, another artist, R&B artist, super talented, beautiful voice. Like, one of my homegirls, she was like, Sid, shout out Sid, the main shape. She was like, yo, like, my homegirl sings, you should check it out. And she showed me one of her songs, and I was like, yo, I don't really like it, but I think she can sing. And so I got to meet her, we got to talk, and then I was like, hey, like we should work on a song together. And we made a song called Myself, which is a lot of people really enjoyed it when we put it out. And from there, I was like, bro, we need to keep working. And I produce, like I want to produce R&B music. And I feel like it helped me. It was a challenge for me because it was like predominantly I'm making hip hop beats, rap beats. And it was like, all right, we're going into another genre, trying to tap into my tempo and stuff like that, those elements. And yeah, and so, you know, those two are like really like the ones really outside of myself really creating music, you know, and the rest of the guys everyone's doing their own thing creatively and trying to build their own brand. And I do want to try to create and make Wrong Crowd just a creative agency, label, a team of just like, again, creatives in all these different fields and facets, and be able to then, you know, turn it into just a platform for creative people. And you know, be able to create a space or open a space in the future. But that's all things in the future.
Yeah. Kind of like how like Brockhampton like kind of did that, and like, you know, Dreamville with a lot of stuff too, because Brockhampton, like they have like people who do like video work, audio work, you know, photography and all that. It's not like the main members, which they are going to get popular either way too, but then there's others who also like help within the impact with like cover art and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So there's so many aspects to it, you know what I mean? Like Ahmed, he's like he helps with a lot of things creatively. He's done all my cover arts for the most part. And he helps me with just like all the visuals to the hat, to my merch. You know what I mean? He's definitely one of the eyes that, you know, helps, eyes and hands that help pull the strings. And yeah, I want Wrong Crowd to be more than just me rapping or self-rapping or be singing. I want it to be able to turn it into a production company, turn it into really just be able to be a company in general. You know, and be able to create and do whatever we want.
Yeah, no, for sure, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to jumpstart into like the next set of like questions right here, like what's your creative process like when making music, and what would like a day in the studio be like for you?
I feel like creating music, it starts with probably me making the beat. You know what I mean? I feel like when I write before I write like a verse or a few verses before I even hear a beat, it's usually tend to a story. It's usually tend to an experience I experience. It's usually tend to an experience, you know what I mean? And really trying to tap into that story and creating that story. And sometimes I might write that story in a rap format, or I might just write the story as just a story. And then if I need to go back to it, you know, and I make the right beat or whatever the case may be, I kind of just turn the stories that I've written that are regular stories into like figuring out how can I form this into a song, you know what I mean? And, or like I said, originally, for the most part, it just starts with beats, you know what I mean? I feel like the beat sets the tone. I feel like the beats are the foundation, you know what I mean? And once you have the foundation and you understand how it makes you feel sonically as an artist, you start from there and be like, okay, this is how it makes me feel. How am I going to portray what this makes me feel on this record? And I kind of just go from there, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it just really starts with the beat. And if I like the beat enough and how it makes me feel, and go from there,
yeah, for sure. And to even like get into it with like the pilot episode, which is like, you know, your recent like project and all that, like what was like the backstory of the formation of that project? I know you talked about the creative process and inspiration, but in terms of the formation, like how was it like, and how was like the impact that it had like once it like was like released like at the time?
The creation was long, man. I feel like obviously because COVID hit, so I was working on it prior to COVID, and I had a version of it that I feel like at the time I felt was more complete right before COVID hit. And it was one of those things where you get to then sit with the music and you get to listen to it and then ask yourself, like, can this stand the test of time, and will it stand the test of time? Because now you're living with it for basically 2 years and listening to it, and then asking, yeah, just asking yourself, like, I've heard this for a year now, like, do I hate it? You know what I mean? I think that's how I am with a lot of music sometimes. There's a lot of songs I sit on, but I have to keep listening to it and ask myself if I hate it. And I feel like if it stands the test of time, then it's going to stand the test of time forever. In my ears. And at the end of the day, like, you know, I trust my tastes in my music and my creation. So if I like it and I feel like it works, and, you know, we finalize everything on my part, obviously production-wise, writing-wise, and we kind of just, you know, try to make sure we put our best foot forward into making the record as best we possibly can. And with the album, it just really just a lot of stories and a lot of things that happened in the past, and just a culmination of like it's really kind of like a culmination of a bunch of events that leads to the person I am right now. You know what I mean? And it was a lot. I feel like I digged a lot into myself to figure out and talk about some of the topics, and talk about myself, you know, in different lights.
Yeah.
And honestly, after the release, I feel like at first, I feel like a lot of people weren't listening to it or weren't hearing it. But it's like, again, like, you're starting as an independent artist, and you deal with that struggle of like wanting to put it out and like instantly 1 million people hear it, but it just doesn't work like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just trying to figure out, you know, what you need to do as an artist to get it in front of people, whether it's shows, whether it's videos, and, you know, promo and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
just doing that and actively emphasizing those parts led to just a lot more people paying attention, and obviously word of mouth and whatever the case may be, led to just a lot of, you know, people paying attention, a lot of people checking it out, and especially the visuals, just like understanding. I'm a really visual person, you know what I mean? And I feel like the visuals to me is like very, very important. If you're gonna do it, make sure you're putting your best foot forward and not just doing something that everyone's seen before, because it's just gonna come and go. And I feel like in the microwave era that we are in music, I feel like it's very important that artists try their best to be advent in making sure they're putting out and making art, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter what kind of music you're making, like making sure that the visuals are just dope. And if you're gonna make a specific type of visual, just make sure that you're putting out the best quality of that visual that you possibly can. Like,
Oh, true.
like, you know, street rap videos can be street rap videos, but if you're making sure it's like creative in a way, then it's gonna be creative in a way. You know what I
sure,
mean?
man. Yeah.
So yeah, man. After a few visuals, especially, just yeah, man, shows, and you know, the Drake Hotel show I had, I think after that was really kind of like a lot of people being like, yo, I heard you had the sold out show, and I'm paying attention now. You know what I mean? And then the music videos is like, yo, I seen that video is really dope. That Couch Like video is cool, or the Lack video is cool. I'm paying attention now.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like as artists, all we're trying to do, and creatives just trying to build their platform like yourself, is just like trying to turn people into believers and to understand like the vision that you have is valuable, and what you're trying to create is valuable, and just trying to make sure we put it in front of people's faces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my thing was always like, once the music gets heard, everything else is up to you to know, to then ask yourself if you really want to support me or not, or really want to pay attention to what I'm doing and what I'm creating. You know what I mean? Because yeah, man, it's been dope. Shows, you know, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'm gonna say, you know, show in Nashville, show in New York, show at Dundas Square, you know, just to add a few, but nah, man, it's been a great experience.
Yeah,
You know?
100% too, man. And you know, even with these like other releases too, like you've had like Make That Shit Bang, like Lowercase, you know, the Valet one with T Scott and like Can't Say and all that. Like, what are like the other creative processes, like even like for like those like projects and songs, and you know, what inspired you to like even make those as well too?
I feel like Make That Shit Bang was kind of like was a challenge for me. A challenge that I put on myself to be like, yo, I wanted to make a record that like just was more I don't know if I'll say commercial, just more pop rap. You know what I mean? And I feel like that was well, not completely, but the song "Start," which is on the EP, that I feel like is the most popular song on there, and one of my bigger songs that I made. Um, it was definitely like me trying to figure out like how can I get into a stratosphere or a space that isn't strictly like conscious rap, and he raps about his story and his pain, and you know what I mean, shit, because that bubble becomes kind of tiring and annoying because um I feel like you know I want to be an artist. I don't want to ever put myself in a box or a bubble to and have people believe like what you're hearing from me right now is all you're going to hear from me on my career. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to make anything I want. You know what I mean? Hence the valets. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, oh shit, like this guy's singing the whole song. We're not getting a rap at all. Or even on pilot episode where you have OTG or Clarity where it's like there's no rapping. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to have the listeners appreciate all aspects of my artistic ability. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people like Lowercase, which I feel like a lot of people be like, yo, that's like one of my favorite album, whatever the case may be. And I feel like it's the more simpler one out of all of them because I understood what I needed to do, what my best abilities are. I think with pilot episode, I'm like, these are abilities I want to expand on, and it may be the rough version of it, but these are the abilities that that you're gonna hear and see and get from me going forward. You know what I mean? And just trying my best to constantly expand and explore my creativity. You know what I mean? Because if I don't start now where a lot of people don't know my music, then when I do get to a point where a lot more people know my music, then it's like, oh, why are you trying this now? Why are you experimenting? When really, no, this is my artistry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when even speaking about the pilot episode, one thing that I could actually like share still the stay and all that, when I went to the like events like back in like June and all that too, like from the start until now, like the stage process was like very like immaculate. Like it was like amazing to see. It was like kind of like how people would do like the behind the scenes of like a movie scene or like a television scene and all that too. And from the start until now, just like even with the skits, the acting, it's like very amazing to see and all that. And to speak more about it, tell me more about the whole like stage setup and like the process of that and the importance of like setting up a stage.
Um, I feel like as an artist that's gone to a few shows, especially shows in the city, you know what I mean? I feel like sometimes I always want to ask artists that are performing in the city, like, how are we treating this show? You know what I mean? Like, are we just treating this show as we're just going to recite our songs, with the backings, with our backtracks still playing?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like the effort level is just like, hit the bar is in hell, to be honest. Like the bar in terms of how we exercise our creativity is just like is really low, and I feel like we should be trying our best to exercise our creativity a tad bit more. If you care about the art, I feel like that's the thing though. Like if you don't care about the art and you want the bag, okay, I have to respect that. You know what I mean? Because everybody's got to eat, and I respect it all the time, 24/7. But for me, like I care about this art and this craft. So I'm looking at the people before me. I'm looking at the people that I respect, that I admire, and seeing how they create their stages and seeing how they perform. I have a whole window of just a bunch of tabs of a bunch of different artists performing, whether it's Travis Scott to Tyler the Creator to friggin' Black Thought to, friggin' Kanye, Jay-Z, and just understanding whether it's breath control, whether it's movement on stage, whether it's all these different things, and even the setup of the stages, you know what I mean? Like use Travis Scott or Tyler the Creator as a perfect example. Like these guys really put an idea and craft a whole experience. Like these guys create universes in their music. and the goal for a pilot episode is like, I want to create a universe with this album, and I want to make sure that when you come to the show, like you are experiencing the pilot episode, you're experiencing this universe that I'm trying to create. So it was influenced by like, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and like, you know, Family Matters and all that stuff. Like just those shows where do you go? The sitcoms where it's just like, you guys are the audience and you guys are right there and they're performing right on that stage, right in front of you. And so it's like, right when there's commercial breaks and stuff like that, it's, you know, they're doing the same thing. All right, cut, da-da-da-da-da, and people are chilling. And it was just like, how do we play on that? You know what I mean? And the pilot episode is a prequel to my next album that I'm working on, my own next solo album called The Raccoon Show. And it is all inspired and influenced by The Truman Show. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, the goal is for it to the goal is for it to be better. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm glad people like the set design. I'm glad people like the idea that was created. But like in my head, for the Raccoon Show, if I was able to perform on like a huge or bigger stage, like the amount of ideas I want to do and create, I would love to shoot them, but I think I should keep these things to myself. But the ideas I want to create, it's like you are now watching a TV show. Like you can then turn your live show into like a whole marketing campaign, a whole marketing business to work with different brands, different companies. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we as artists are businesses, we are companies, and you know, it's like, how do we figure out ways to then turn ourselves into more, you know, bigger, you know, bigger and more in terms of business sense. So the set design is really like it's just a sprinkle of what I want it to be.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like the whole like vital importance of like getting the artist captivated, and
for sure
to kind of give like my 10 cents to and all that. Like you know, when I look at like someone performing on stage, you know, having like something unique that could like even having like a whole like scene set up where they do like one skit from there and then move it to the other one too. Like that'll be amazing to see. Like the last time I actually saw this, it was actually a YG concert like back in like 2016 where in the beginning of his set, you know, they talked about like YG being shot like 6-7 times. It's like when he was like shot back in like 2015 and like they took like, you know, the stretcher and all that, and it was like this person like on this like cover, like this white blanket cover and all that. And then, you know, when the first song like of like that project, Still Brazy and all that came out, you know, YG just like took off the cover and like was like rapping like literally at that time too. And it kind of swayed me away. And I feel like with a lot of artists too, like they're not gonna take that time to work on it because there's other ways to kind of connect with the audience, like one way or another, which is like through meet and greets, through like merch, through stuff like that. For other artists, it might not be that way too, because like if it's like the whole stage setup, then you know it's a better way to connect with the fans than like anything else too. So it kind of depends on like how you want to connect with the audience and to connect with the fans as well too. So
that's true, 100%. I agree with you. I feel like there's other ways to connect with your audience than necessarily set design or stage design or whatever the case may be. And I respect all those types of ways. I just feel like for me, when I'm thinking about, I'm always thinking about how to better my artistry, how to better my craft. And so I'm going to think about the artistry first, like, you know, and the set design is, like I said, some of the biggest shows and best shows that I've been through or been to, the set designs were it's just so different and memorable when you go to a festival and you see all these artists just perform on stage and then this other artist just has a whole set design and you're just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And it just makes them more memorable and makes you then either that stuff like that can turn you into a fan, not even into their music, but into their creativity, into their mind. And I feel like, you know, at the end of the day, if you are a creative, like you want people to, you know, just rock with your ideas creatively, not just your music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And, you know, to get back on track right now, tell me more about the backstory of you performing and organizing like a free day event and all that, because I think you had like a free day concert or something like that.
Yeah. Wrong crowd, man. We set up this this show called Month's End. We were doing basically the end of the month. It was like this, like, I wanted it to turn to a festival idea, but like basically it's just like the end of the month of random different months. Like it was like we probably did like 3 of them, but the end of the month we would have a few artists perform. Sometimes it would include myself. Sometimes it would include other artists from the group. And then it'll just be other artists in the city that I've paid attention to. And I'm just like, yo, I think you should perform. I would love to have you here. And, you know, it might be a dope opportunity for you. And all of us can, you know, bring in all of our own listeners together and, you know, really try to build up our listenership. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm out in Memphis, too, like, I feel like, again, going back to the family thing and going back to just the community, you know what I mean? Like, these guys in the South, they really care about community, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of these people have morals and values, too, but it's just like the community is important. And I feel like out here, we kind of lack that, you know what I mean? So my thing was like, what better way than to, again, just create a community with these artists based off of art, you know what I mean? So it's like, yo, you, let's do a show. You know what I mean? We're going to set it up. You don't have to do nothing but pull up, tell people that you have a performance, pull up, perform, get paid.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm saying too.
It's, how can you, where's the downfall in that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like, just trying our best to create a community and also just like show love to the artists that we actually fuck with.
100% too, man.
Yeah, man.
And, you know, you actually opened up for like Enlisted Negroes that like, I think at this bar like in 2022.
I was just there.
Yeah.
I just got a beer. Actually, I didn't get a beer, but I got a drink there like 2 days ago. Do you remember the name?
I think it's like Casa, something like that. It's like on King West by like,
yeah. Right beside Tiff.
Yeah, pretty
Like,
much like
right in
at
front of
King
Tiff.
John and all that.
Yeah.
I actually got the dates wrong for a bit too because this one was like what, like 2022, and then the Snow to Melt was like in 2023. But
Yeah.
speak more about it. How did those shows come about, and how was it like performing at those events?
For the Unlistened Negro show, I feel like I had put out a single off of the pilot episode called Zeitgeist, and just pushing that on Instagram and stuff of that nature, and just trying my best to, you know what I mean, like do as much promo as I can for it. And I had met, you know, have you met Yuso?
Yeah, I know Yuso. That's actually my guy, actually. Yeah.
Okay, got you. Yeah, so just like meeting Yuso and a few of his friends and stuff like that, and them doing their shit and building their brand and their community. Just like him getting in tune with my music and then kind of just sharing it, which I feel like then led to Unlistened Negroes probably hearing it and them really rocking with it.
Yeah.
And I was really rocking with one of the songs they had out at the time too as well. So, and we had talked, me and T were talking for a bit of like possibly working on the song together, you know what I mean? So, you know, it was one of those things where she, you know, they just hit me up and was like, yo, we'd love for you to perform. And, you know, I try my best never to be too cool for an opportunity. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like you never know what these opportunities create. You never know who's going to see your work and pay attention after that. Yeah. So, you know, I took it and, you know, pulled up, performed, did what I can. And, you know what I mean? It was a chill experience. It was a chill experience.
Yeah.
It's funny that you're talking about your friend that seen my music, seen me perform there. It's like stuff like that I don't even know. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, my friend Karen, she's like very like tapped in with the community and all that. You know, she told me about like a lot of like other artists too that I actually had like on the platform, like Master Inferno and like Varmerk and all that. And I think another person as well too. But yeah, it was like an amazing experience, you know, just even interconnecting and like just like leading it through and all that too. And that's just the importance of community, because it like kind of leads you on to networking, these like relationships and like working with other people to getting them into like a certain like spotlight that like a lot of people want to work. And it's like the same for you. You're like the person like you're working with is showing their spotlight, you know, who you are and all that type of stuff too. And all that
stuff. You know, because at the end of the day, like a lot of these artists, you know what I mean, especially in the city, like we're all trying our best to, you know, eat off of our art, are all trying our best to be able to create a space for our space where listeners feel welcome and, you know, really engage with what we're trying to create. Yeah. So it's like for us to not work together, I feel like is us all doing ourselves a disservice. You know what I mean? And so it's only natural, especially if you like the art. I feel like it starts with that. Like if you rock with the art, you fuck with the art, and then why are we acting like we don't fuck with the art? Like, you know what I mean? So there's that, and that stems from me meeting Lucius, you know what I mean, in the Lemon and Snow to Melt show.
Yeah.
And, you know, he being a real big supporter of the music and really rocking with it from jump, you know what I mean? And so he just hit me up, was like, yo, I got this show and I would love for you to perform. Again, I'm not gonna decline the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and that show honestly linked me to a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people from there I feel like became fans and was like, or just believers, you know what I mean, and supporters more than anything.
Yeah.
And kind of just started following my journey from there. So I'm always grateful for every opportunity, you know?
100% too, man. And, you know, before you've had like an actual stage name called like JJ and all that. So what made you decide on changing from JJ to like Lowercase?
Man, JJ was ass. I'm joking. Nah. Honestly, JJ, it just stems from just being back in Memphis and there's certain aunts and uncles just saying and calling me Junior for my father's name, James. And so it's just a duality of being called that. So originally it was like lowercase J, uppercase J, and it's like the duality of being called JJ because I never met this man, you know, my father. So I never had a real relationship with him. So for me, it was one of those things where it was a weird feeling, you know what I mean? Like whether it's like being compared to him being brought up in any type of way, you know, but at the same time, it was great to be able to have some relation to, you know, this person that's supposed to be your father, you know? So it was, the JJ was just a play on that feeling, a play on those emotions that I feel that come with, you know, being a bastard son.
Nah, I understand, man. Yeah. Nah.
And so ultimately, you know, I've been making music as JJ for a bit, and then what's it called? To Spotify, Apple Music, all that shit is just too difficult to find JJ. You know what I mean? Because there's triple J, there's double J. You know, there's so many different JJs. So I was kind of like, man, I need to create something more unique. I need to create something that people will remember and people will be easy to find. And the Lowercase album was me talking about why the first J in JJ was lowercase. And I was like, it still connects back to the original name.
Yeah.
So it just worked out, you know what I mean? And God willing, you know what I mean? It's been a great artist name that I feel like people really fuck with.
Yeah, man. And, you know, you also have like a signature like haircut as well too, you know, like the high top fade with like the corn pick right there as well too and all that. So tell me more about that, like by any chance.
Man, PTB, man, protect the brand. You got to protect your brand, honestly, man. Like, you got to create, I feel like, again, you know, that to be honest, all this stuff is organic. It wasn't like plotted. I wasn't like one day, like, I'm going to get a high top and wear a comb every day and I'm going to be known as that guy that has the high top and the comb in my head every day. Like, to be honest, it was all organic with just growing up and just being like, I need to change my hairstyle. Like, you know what I mean? I need to do something with my hair because my hair grows like fast. So, I mean, especially at that time. So I was trying to do something different. And instead of just wearing, like, just having a nappy ass head. And so just, you know, shout out to Conrad's. This guy, man, this old head blessed my chrome. And this guy, you know, blessed my head top and gave me a high top. That's crazy. That's dope. He blessed my head top, gave me a high top. And honestly, like, it was like, yo, this is dope. You know what I mean? And like, I was fucking with it and just kind of just kept trying to play with the high top, alter the haircut. And it kind of just stuck. You know what I mean? And the pick is just, you know, there for all times. You know what I mean? And I feel like without me purposely making that happen, it just became the thing. You know what I mean? Of like, yo, the pick, the high top, and the headphones. You know what I mean? Those three things are always what people see, and it's just true to me. You know what I mean? And so it just became a part of the brand, I guess.
For sure, man. No, 100% too. And, you know, to kind of jump back into like the whole like influence style in that sense too, with Cudi and Kanye being like major influences to your sound, how has their like legacies and creative styles played a part in the formation of how your music is like portrayed today in that sense?
I feel like again, Ye is great at creating universes and worlds within his music and worlds within worlds in his music. So it's like, he helps inspire just the ability and the thought process that comes into creating an album or creating, whether it's a set design or creating, just creating. You know what I mean? I feel like he's just a top tier creator, an artist that, you know, just naturally has to be respected even if you don't like him. So, um, you know, just his ability to create, it just helps me understand that I need to try my best to explore all facets of my creativity. You know what I mean? All facets of things that I like, and being like, how can I add my interests or add things that I find cool and shit like that into what I'm doing, and you know, get people to see that, you know. And then, you know, with Jay-Z is just being able to rap at a high level and really try to be, to some degree, philosophy. Fuck, I just fucked up that word. Just, I feel like to some degree, Jay-Z does a lot of like philosophy in his raps. You know what I mean? Whether it's metaphorically or whatever the case may be, there's a lot of philosophy in some of his stuff, and just taking that, and me myself getting into philosophy, and really trying to understand myself better, understand the human brain and why we think better. And then Kid Cudi just influenced me to be human, to be myself, not to be a caricature. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I listen to a lot of artists that are being their version of an artist that they like, and not being themselves. You know what I mean? And I feel like we, as human beings, we tend to we tend to digest and soak up all these things that we see on the internet, all these things we see on TV. And I think sometimes, or not even sometimes, a lot of people soak up these things and digest these things and then turn into those things. You know what I mean? Like, these things are only to be observed and to be maybe acknowledged to some degree, but it isn't meant for us to then be like, this is these things that we see are who we are now. You know what I mean? Like, these things aren't supposed to make us. And I feel like there's a lot of artists I hear or see, and, you know what I mean, like, they're not being true to themselves. And Kid Cudi is one of those artists I feel like he was always true to himself creatively. And, you know, I wanted to make sure I was doing that for myself as well.
Yeah, man. I understand too. And, you know, just even with the music and the subject matter too, like, there are like a lot of like dark topics that you speak about, and you kind of shed like light on them, like in important like aspects, even with the creativity of it. And then like in many cases too, like even it could be like within like relation to like mental health as well too, and all that. So within your idea of like mental health, like how do you deal with it as a person in your position right now, with a lot of stuff like going on in life, you know, social media, to being active on there, to, you know, maintaining your music career and all that, to even being active within like your family and all that type of stuff too. Have you ever felt like at times it could be like overwhelming and all that?
It's a good question, man. I feel like life in general, like, not even trying to be to hit with some philosophy shit, but it's just like life in general can be overwhelming. I feel like, depending how you perceive it. I feel like, um, I feel like naturally we tend to um, take all these things that happen and not take them as it happens, but take them and then add on everything else we take on, and it just turns into it conjures up into a whole different thing, and becomes like a whole ball of all these different things you're stressing about. And we then try to take these things all on all at once, instead of looking at these things piece by piece and being like, this is that. How can I deal with that? This is that. How can I deal with that? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like naturally, especially myself as an overthinker, like it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
This life in general is overwhelming. Being creative is the great part of life, being able to release some of these overwhelming feelings and emotions into records. And I think the creating part is the aspect that helps me with all of life's challenges. You know what I mean? And like, in terms of mental health and stuff like that, I don't ever want to I don't necessarily want to be the artist that is the advocate for mental health or anything like that, but I feel like a lot of people tend to obviously resonate with a lot of my music because of me talking about my mental state or where I feel, how I feel, and also just being honest and transparent with how I really feel in certain points in these records. And um, you know, I feel like in general, when it comes to our mental health, I feel like it's very important that we acknowledge our feelings. I feel like for myself, especially, I can be a brick wall, you know what I mean, in terms of myself emotionally. And a lot of people I grew up with can be brick walls of our emotion and not even acknowledge our emotions, you know what I mean? Because, life doesn't allow us to, or life doesn't allow us to process our emotions, you know what I mean? Especially now in the digital age where we are being force fed so much information, force fed so much shit that it's like you, as soon as you want to process one thing, you're being fed and shoved down all these different aspects of things of life that have nothing to do with you, that then go into your life, and then it becomes a part of your life. And then now you're processing things that don't even matter in real life to you. You know what I mean? So it's like, especially now, it's even more overwhelming, you know what I mean? But I think I just try my best, again, just like trying to understand, just trying to understand philosophy, try to understand why we think the way we think, and where does it stem from, and how for me, try to figure out the healthy ways of like trying to process it, and also acknowledge things that I feel like I never acknowledged in the past. You know what I mean? Like I said, we as a community can be very comedic with our traumas, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's cool when we're young, but I feel like, you know what I mean, like it comes back to bite us in moments like this, or when we're older and we're dealing with real life situations.
Yeah.
So,
nah, for sure.
yeah.
Because I know, like you said, you don't smoke weed and all that, and like I don't know about like your status with like alcohol and all that too. So, are there like ways that you kind of process it just only with music, or do you do like journaling? Do you do like other stuff?
Do hella drugs, man. Hella drugs. Hella drugs. No weed, but hella drugs, man. We do the ecstasy. We do the LSD.
Nah.
We do. This guy's like, oh, nah, I'll fuck with you, bro. I'm chilling, man. My biggest vice is probably wine, man.
Oh,
like
sure.
I do drink, I do indulge in alcohol for sure, but for the most part, it's just wine, man. I want to be a sommelier, man. I love wine, bro.
Oh, sure.
I would love to work with a vineyard or have my own vineyard and get some point and just sell my own wine and shit like that, bro. Like
I mean, Niagara Falls is like the hub for like, winery and all that too. So even like working with those people like that, hopefully like it does like manifest from there, to kind of bring it like locally and in that sense too,
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like just wine, that's another thing I want to bring into, who I am as an artist and who I am as a person. Like I do indulge in a lot of wine, and I want to I want to emphasize that, so it becomes a part of my identity. So it's easier when times, when I'm able to work with certain people to be like, oh, like he indulges in this in these specific things, and wine is one of those things, and he really cares about it and he really respects it. So that's definitely a aspect in my life where I would love to get into. But outside of like, in terms of like that vice, man, I just try my best to look at and pay attention to things creative.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like
too.
whether it's like movies, and just I feel like as of recently, the last like 2 years, just like really trying to get closer with my family. You know what I mean? Just trying to get closer with my fam, my friends, and build a foundation. You know what I mean? Because when you're low and when you're you're going through all these battles within yourself, like those people are really going to be able to help you.
Yeah, man, 100% too. I'm gonna have to end off with some of these like questions right here. We'll probably have to do like a part 2 on this too.
Oh,
but I feel like we've already covered like a lot of stuff so far and all that. So for a person like in like your situation, or that's kind of dealing with like a lot of like issues like in life and all that, like name 3 songs in your catalog that you could recommend to that person that hasn't heard about you before, or that would like to know more from you, like who's dealing with like a lot of like issues like in life in that sense.
I myself am not dealing with too. I feel like I'm always dealing with issues, but at the same time, I wouldn't say I'm in I guess in the worst place. But in terms of music, I would suggest of my own.
Of your own music, yeah.
I feel like a song like Clarity. I feel like Here for You. And maybe Couch Psyche or Lack. You know what I mean? Either of those records. But I would say Couch Psyche because I feel like that song is more of a deeper cut into just talking about my mentality and thought process.
For sure, man. And what do you have going on next in terms of like other music, creative projects, and so forth? I know you have the upcoming album that might be for like 2024 and all that, but as far as like for the end of this month and for like 2024, what do you have going
on? I got me and my boy Self. We're working on a duo project called Lower Self, and you know that's gonna be something we're gonna put out this year. I'm gonna be putting out some new music and some new visuals and stuff like that going forward throughout all of 2024. And man, I don't know. Just trying to just do more shows. Trying to set up the show in London, UK. Trying to set up another annual pilot episode show. I'm in Toronto, so I want to get that. I want to get that show done for sure.
True. Yeah. And do you have any like closing remarks you'd like to say? And where can they like follow you like on like social media and all that?
So you can follow me at Lowercase, the word Lowercase, WC on Instagram, on Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other streaming platforms. You can check out my music at just Lowercase and capital letters. You can find me everywhere. And on YouTube, the exact same thing, Lowercase pilot episode. Just search Lowercase pilot episode on YouTube. Any closing remarks? You know, live life. You know what I'm saying? Look cute. You know honestly, man, just stay grateful, man, and I feel like always revere the process and respect the process you're going through, and start to stay present. You know what I mean? I feel like revering the process is one of the most important things that I feel like we all tend to not do as creatives. So revere your process and respect it and keep creating, you know what I mean? And yeah, WC, Wrong Crowd, PTB, protect your brand.
Yeah, sure, man. So Lowercase, you know, it was a pleasure like tapping in with you and all that for like this like full circle moment right here and all that. You know, we'll definitely like have the music soon and all that like on the playlist and everything else too and all that. And
appreciate it.
Yo, this is Josh, also known as Yashu of TLOY Talks. You know, this is episode 64. You could get it on all platforms. Like I always say, like every other time and all that too. Tap in with like Lowercase and all that. Like probably like one of the best artists like in the game right now. I feel like this is actually, I've wanted to say this like in that part, but he actually had one of the best concerts I've been to this year and all that. A tie between him or B-Rob and all that, but Lowercase, you know, he definitely had the show of the year and all that. Like that's just my opinion.
Shout
and
out B-Rob.
Yeah, either way, you know, but definitely check out his music. Definitely check out this podcast like when it drops and all that. And I'm just gonna sign off right here. That's it.